Your story might be the very thing someone needs to hear in order to keep going. Hi, I'm Shara, and you're listening to Life Stories. Hi, friends. I am recording this 2 days after Christmas 2022. I hope you had a wonderful time with your family if you were able to, or friends, or with someone. My husband and I were talking the other day about what our favorite Christmases were, and I think my favorite was until this year, 2020, because it's when we built our house. We moved in the beginning of December of 2020, and even though we weren't finished decorating, we didn't have everything done that we wanted to get done. It was so special to be able to be in our home that year and have all our families here. And since then, we've celebrated almost every holiday here. My house isn't huge, but it's the biggest in our family in this area, and it's just easy to have it over here because we have so much room, and that's what I wanted. I didn't want, I didn't need a massive house. It's just my husband and I and our son that live here, but I wanted space. I wanted to be able to have plenty of people over and have space, and we have that, and I'm so thankful. This year was pretty awesome. We celebrated multiple times here with a lot of people, and it wasn't stressful at all. Sometimes I tend to stress myself out preparing and making sure things are perfect and wanting it to be just right, and then I get so stressed and worked up about everything that I can't enjoy what I'm doing. But this year I told Aaron it was just relaxing. It was just wonderful. We played some hilarious games. I've played this before, but we bought it and we played it this year, and I've never laughed that hard. But we played reverse charades. I don't know if you've seen this game before. It's hysterical. You'll have to look it up. It's on Amazon. I'm sure it's at, other stores that sell games. But it is so much fun with a group of people. So we played that. We played some other games that we play every year at Christmas, and it was just fabulous. My daughter and her family were here for several days, so that was pretty awesome. We get that every other year. I remember what a shock it was to my sister when she got married, and I realized I had to share her on holidays. It took me by surprise, even though I don't know why it did. It was nice to have them here for several days, and normally my husband and I do not buy each other gifts. If there's something that we need for our home, we do that, but we don't usually exchange gifts. And this year we decided we were going to do that. And it was fun. It was fun picking out things for him. He did way better than I did, I think. He knows me really well, and he knows what I like. I think two of my favorite gifts, three of my favorite gifts were books. He got me 2 books that I had been really wanting. And one of them, I've talked about how much I love The Big Bang Theory. One of them is this new book by Jessica Radloff, and it's the definitive inside story of the epic hit series. And it's huge. And it's interviews with all the cast members, with the writers, from the very beginning of the idea of how the show got started all throughout. And I am having so much fun reading this. I've learned a lot, and I'm only on chapter 3. The other book I got was Kelly Ripa's book, which I don't know how you feel about her. I think it's kind of a love-hate thing. Some people love her. Some people can't stand her. I love her, and I don't take her too seriously just because I think that's how she would like people to take her, is not too seriously. I've just watched, that show forever. I watched it when it was Regis and Kathy Lee, and then I watched it when it was her and Regis, and then now her and Ryan Seacrest. And then, every day Colton and I watch that show. We've been doing this for years. At lunch, because we've recorded it, we sit down and eat lunch together and watch the show. So I wanted to read her book, and it's a great book. I mean, if you like her and follow her at all, I thought it was a great book. I read it in one day. I read it yesterday. It's just a bunch of, she says it's long-winded short stories. I thought it was a great book. I learned some things I didn't know. I enjoyed it. I thought it was good. We have a used bookstore, and I think it's pretty new. I think it hasn't been open too long. And he got me a gift card to that, so I'm going to use that tomorrow. I'm very excited about it. He said I haven't even been in it before. I didn't even know about it, and he went because it's not far from where he works. And he said it's like floor to ceiling, wall to wall books, which I cannot wait. I'm so excited. So he did good. As we get ready for the beginning of the year, I don't always have a word for the year. I know some people pick a word for the year, or they, pray about what their word for the year will be. And I do have one this year. And a couple of weeks ago, several things happened. And this word just stood out to me at the end of the week. If you've heard my podcast about my friend Melanie, my husband was able to travel to West Texas and visit with her husband. And they were able to visit for about 45 minutes. When he came home to tell me about their conversation, I just cried. And it wasn't because I was upset or anything that was said upset me at all. That's not it at all. I think I didn't realize how much that connection meant to me. And so even though I wasn't there, I didn't get to talk to him. And it wasn't about Melanie, but it was about, his family. And I just cried. It blessed my heart so much that he was able to make that connection. And then on his way home, he was able to have lunch with a friend of his that he's had since he was 13, just a sweet friend of our family. And then later that week, we went to Arlington, Texas for the Texas high school football state playoffs. Our high school that we graduated from was in the state playoffs. And so it was on Friday. We were supposed to be traveling to my parents that night. But I told Aaron I really want to go to the game because they haven't been to the playoffs since the 70s. And if you know me, I could care less about football. I don't know what goes on the field. I know the goal is to get a touchdown. I understand that part. But as far as the, all the play, I don't have a clue what's going on. I'm there for the atmosphere and the people. That's the only reason I go. And the reason I wanted to go is because I knew a lot of my friends that I grew up with were going to be there. And I'm so glad that we went. Several people from my high school were there. And I grew up in that town from kindergarten through 12th grade. I went to the same school district. My husband moved there when we were in high school. And so he still knows a lot of people. But for me, it was like, when you go to school with the same people for that many years, it's like your brothers and sisters, I was so excited about seeing them. And because we had so many from our class, we decided to meet at a certain time and have a picture made. While we're standing around talking to the people that, we graduated with, I was talking to a girl that I was good friends with in high school until I met my husband. And apparently, because this has been mentioned before, once I met him, I guess I just ditched everybody else. I didn't do it on purpose. I wasn't being vindictive. I just wanted to spend all my time with him. But she was a very good friend of mine, and I really enjoyed our friendship. I don't think I've talked to her since we graduated. And so it was good to catch up with her a little bit. While I'm talking to her, I hear somebody yelling at me, and I turn around, and it was one of my brother's best friends growing up. And so we talked for a minute. And while I'm talking to him, I look up and my aunt was walking towards me. My aunt, who I'm very close to, and she lives just about an hour and a half away. She went to the game. So I'm talking to him. She comes up and gives me a hug. And then while I'm talking to her, my very dear friend that I grew up with, she came up and I was talking to her. She didn't graduate with me. She was a couple years older. But it was like all these different connections, and then the people that we went to school with, and it was just very special to me. That is special to me. I appreciate those friendships. Even if it's not people I talk to all the time, I appreciate that they are there. I got to sit with my very first friend I ever had. Erin and I sat with her and her husband and her family, and another friend that I grew up with who we lived just a couple of blocks away from each other growing up. And I have so many memories at these two girls' houses and, just being involved in stuff growing up as kids. And it was just very special. It was a great, great evening. So I was thankful for all those connections. And then the next week, I had two different friends that I haven't talked to in a long time, like one of them years, contact me, and we just touched base real quick. It wasn't long conversations, but it was pretty neat to have that connection. I keep saying that word because that is my word, I believe, for 2023 is connection. And it's not to me, being connected to people is important. I had a counselor tell me one time that we were made for connection, and I believe that we were. God didn't want us doing life alone. He said that. He said he didn't want man to be alone, and I don't think we do well alone. And after all these things happened, someone that I'm friends with on Facebook posted one of those, I don't know what they're called. It looked like a word search, and it said, the first 4 words you see will be your words for the year. Now, I don't put a lot of stock in those things. I think they're kind of silly, but I always do them. I mean, that's not where my hope lies in, a Facebook post. But one of those words was connection, the first words that I saw, and I thought, that's going to be my word for the year, because even though I pray for people, even though, occasionally I talk to friends, and I'm definitely a homebody. I'm not outgoing and doing all the time, and I'm totally good with that. I love having lunch with my friends, but I'm good being home. I enjoy it. It's important to have connection to people, and I used to be really good about reaching out, just checking on people, sending emails, sending cards. I used to be a lot better about it than I am, and I think life just gets busy and gets in the way, and, I didn't have a reason that I stopped. I just stopped doing it so much, and I want to be better about that. And I really, I think about, which I'm sure you've heard, the man that Twitch that was on TV. I don't know him, but we were big So You Think You Can Dance fans whenever my daughter was living with us at home. And so we knew who Twitch was, and we've seen him on TV lots of times. And he looked like he was someone that had it all, and he was always happy and had this great family and had this great job and made people laugh and smile, and incredible dancer, and then ended his life. And so I think about reasons like that. We don't know what somebody's going through, and if we don't make a connection with them, how will we ever know? We can't put the pressure on ourselves and feel guilty when something like that happens if we had no idea. I mean, there's no reason for that. But if we don't make connections with people, how will we ever know what they're going through? And I will say, I, for many years of my life, was the queen of, I'm fine, putting on a pretend smile and saying I'm fine when I really wasn't. I mean, I was very good at that. So I understand someone can tell you they're fine, and they can tell you that they're good, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they are. And I don't know what the answer is as far as being able to help somebody that won't, be open and honest about how they really feel. But I just think that making the connection is the first step. Reaching out, making that phone call, sending that text, writing that letter, whatever that is for the people in your life, I think it's very important. And so that is my word for the year, and that is something I want to be so much better at with everybody in my life, with friends and with, whoever it is that I feel like has come into my path. And I just really want to be better at connecting, not necessarily spending all my time with people, not necessarily going and being busy and doing, but it doesn't take long to make a connection. It doesn't take long to send a text or a letter or a postcard or whatever it is. It doesn't take much time. And I am thankful for the people that I am connected to right now. So I encourage you to make those connections today and be appreciative for the ones that you already have. Thanks for listening. I hope you have a great day.